All right, folks, welcome back to the channel and to another Hickory Hacker course vlog. This week I'm at Uniontown Country Club in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. This is a beautiful golf course set in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, about an hour and 15 minutes southeast of Pittsburgh. And after playing pre-35 Hickory golf here, I can safely say this is a hidden gem of a course. And that's partly due to its connection to Emil Dutch Loeffler. Loeffler was a longtime superintendent at Oakmont Country Club, but he also dabbled in golf course design with John McGlynn, and this is one of several courses in western Pennsylvania that he designed, this one dating back to 1921. So here's what's in the bag, sponsored by Stewart and Jacoby. As I mentioned, I'm using my pre-35 Hickory set for this round. That include authentic irons from the 1920s and early 1930s, and I'm using a Callaway Super Soft for my ball. And here's the scoring average for my pre-35 Hickory round so far this year. 105 gross, 85 net, hoping I can improve on that today. Here's a scorecard for the front nine at Uniontown, 2,900 yards, playing from the white tees. Starts with number one, par 4, 301 yards. Pretty straightforward hole to start with, but kind of a tight shoot here off the tee. Here's my playing partner today, Tim Shaw. Tim and I were in the middle of a Pittsburgh area golf trip here. This was the second round of our trip. The first round was the day before at Bob O'Connor Golf Course, where I played gutty golf, pre-1900 gutty golf, and you can watch that course vlog on the channel. This course set up to my eye right away. I felt comfortable here with pretty much every shot on every hole, and while it's challenging, I knew what I needed to do, and I didn't always execute those shots, but I knew what I wanted to do here. And that says a lot for the golf course for me. Usually, it takes a few rounds for me to get that familiarity or comfortableness with the golf course, and I think part of that is due to the fact that this is a golden age design that is fairly intact. It dates back to 1921, and we're going to talk about Dutch Loeffler as this round goes on. But the course, from what we understand talking to the pro beforehand, is mostly unchanged since 1921, with the exception of some restorative work that Ron Forse did here in the 20-teens. But Ron Forse is a well-known Golden Age restorer of courses, and my assumption is that any work that was done here recently was to just restore or bring back some of the original features of the golf course that date back to 1921. All right, here's number two. It's a par 3, 150 yards. I really like this 1-2 punch of holes to kind of ease into the round. Again, every hole on this course just set up really well to my eye. Using the mashie here, this is the Tom Morris mashie, and I'm realizing that I actually can get more distance out of that club than I was giving myself credit for. So while I used to call it my 130 to 140 club, it's become more of a 150 to 160 club, and it might be due to the fact that I'm getting more comfortable with my single plane swing with that club. But I'm also learning a little bit more. That was a nice putt there from Tim. I'm also learning more about proper course management with Hickory clubs. And the fact that because you get a lot of forward spin on most shots, a lot of top spin, you're going to get more run out than you expect on approaches to the green. So I'm basically using that mashie now as a 150 to 160 club because I realize that if I drop it 145, it's going to roll out to 160 in a lot of cases. All right, moving on to number 3 already. This is my club of choice for the most part these days off the tee. This is the Tom Stewart driving iron. It's 19 degrees, and I've gotten really comfortable with that club off the tee. Not so much off the deck. I'm a little less consistent when I try to hit it off the fairway or from the rough right there. But it's definitely been the most consistent tee club I've had. And I used the brassy a few times in this round, but lately, well after this round, I'm pretty much just sticking with the driving iron right now because if I hit that well, which for me is about 200 yards, 200 to 210 yards, that's the distance that I was getting every few shots with the brassy, and I'm way more consistently hitting that target mark now with the driving iron. And Tim and I took some time to get used to the pace of these greens compared to the slower greens at Bob O'Connor the day before. They're not lightning fast, but there's some undulation in them that make them deceptively tricky, and you'll see that later on in the round. There's number 4, par 4, 281 yards, and there's some familiar church pew bunkers on the right side of the fairway. That's a good segue to talk about Loeffler and this course's connection to Oakmont. So as I mentioned at the top of the video, Loeffler was a longtime superintendent at Oakmont from 1916 to 1947. And that was over a period of time that was very formative for Oakmont. The original designer of Oakmont, Henry Phones, kind of built that course to be the toughest test of golf at that time, and then passed the reins over to his son, William Phones, and William Phones and Loeffler stepped up the difficulty even more, built more hazards, made the greens lightning fast, just really put some teeth into that course, even more than Henry Phones had originally, and made it what it is today, which is arguably the most formidable test in golf. Loeffler carried over some of those characteristics at Oakmont into his own designs. The designer of this course, the co-designer of this course, is John McGlynn. McGlynn was the superintendent at Oakmont before Loeffler, so they obviously knew each other pretty well and kind of worked hand in hand on designing this course and a few others in the western Pennsylvania area. And I don't know if those church pews on number 4 here were an original design to 1921, or maybe something that Ron Forse added to the design when he did his restoration in the 20-teens. At any rate, it's tip of the cap to Loeffler and his connection to Oakmont. So at 566 yards, this par 5 is a formidable challenge for me with Hickory clubs and pretty much demanded that I hit every shot perfect. And up to this point, that's about as close to perfect as I can get. I've got myself set up for a short par putt here, and that's when the wheels came off. Yeah, this is where subtle breaks in what looked to be pretty short putts just, killed me. And I tipped the cap to Loeffler on that because some of those were really deceptive. Did not see those reads, and only something I would pick up on if I played several rounds here. So I'm running a little hot here going into this par 4. Fortunately, got a pretty good swing on that tee shot there with the driving iron. And then followed it up with a pretty decent shot here using the mashie. Was able to get it right over that those branches and back into the fairway. But again, this is a shot that I hadn't really played yet today, and obviously put it in the worst possible spot. Right into that greenside bunker. And if you've watched my course vlogs, you know that this is one of my many Achilles heels. I was trying to get out of sand. And this was kind of hard pan sand. Probably not the right technique at all to get this ball out. I was just trying to nip it. Fortunately, got it out there, but this hole's fallen apart for me. This is actually a good opportunity to talk about how I score these pre-1935 Hickory rounds. The score that you see in the upper right corner there, that's the net score, my net score. And that's just a good gauge for me to keep track of how I'm improving or not improving through each round. So right now, I'm playing just a little bit above my handicap, and which I believe going into this round was a 26. Here's number 7. I thought those trees were really pretty. This was probably one of my favorite holes on the course. And the wind was in our face here, so I was trying to hit a low, what I call my Hickory Hacker stinger, and I actually was able to execute it exactly how I planned there. And another pretty good approach with the mashie. You may have noticed by this point that I'm pretty much only using 3 clubs in this round. The driving iron, the mashie, and then on occasion my mashie niblick, which is a McGregor popular flanged mashie niblick. That's pretty much all I use these days. Every once in a while I'll use the Walter Hagen Ironman sand wedge, but I'm finding that I can get by with a pretty Spartan set, and I'm really experiencing what Hickory Golf has to offer by doing that, because you learn how to manufacture multiple shots with, just a couple clubs. There's a nice putt for Tim. Wish I had more of Tim's highlights to show from this round, but his best shots, I was just on a different part of the hole, or, Tim just didn't have the sharpest round here. This course didn't meet his eye as well as it did for me. That was one of my better swings with the McGregor Brassy. And another pretty good swing with the mashie. So overall, I'm actually pretty happy with how I'm swinging in this round. I think that the higher score, obviously a couple blow-up holes, will add the score up pretty quick. But generally speaking, you know, I kind of, as I'm working with the single plane swing, every round is a new learning experience for me, and I gain something from it. And I've kind of accepted the fact that my scores are not going to reflect what I think is my improvement with the single plane swing quite yet. I'm hoping that basically if I just play more next season, you know, I'm only playing maybe once a week right now. And when I do, a lot of it's filming, so I'm not really focused on my game as much as I am trying to film these course vlogs. So I'm hoping once I find a course here on Long Island that I can practice at on a regular basis, that I'll really be able to get you know, some muscle memory with the single plane swing. All right, number 9's a par 3, 130 yards. Leads right up to the clubhouse. And just pushed that with the mashie to the right. The tree knocked it down. It's the right distance, just the wrong spot. And that one got caught up by the rough right by the fringe. So strokes are starting to add up already on this hole. And I haven't even got to the green yet, which was deceptively challenging with this pin location. This is Tim's putt for par. Not too bad. Decent bogey there for Tim, though he was frustrated didn't get a par. And this is often a gimme, but not for me. Yeah, that was a rough go of the short putts on this front 9.
That's what's killing me.
Led to a 57 gross, 44 net. So playing above my handicap. Oh, my handicap's a 27 coming into this round. I thought it was a 26. Here's the back 9, 2,900 yards. So about the same as the front. And number 10 is a really interesting hole. Par 4, 289 yards. They don't build them like this anymore, really. Completely blind tee shot. You can't even really see the fairway from the tee. Severely sloped from right to left. So Tim and I basically said, let's go straight and hope that the ball kind of funnels into the right direction. I was just off the fairway on the left side here at a significant slope. That was a pretty good shot, but my camera couldn't handle it. So unfortunately, you couldn't see where that ended up. There's a quick look at the green from the fairway. And this is where that shot ended up for me. So happy with that mashie. But then this green was a lot quicker than I realized. Another good lag putt from Tim. Yeah, and a good attempt for me as well. I'll take a bogey there. And I believe that was a par for Tim. All right, number 11, par 3, 166 yards. Another pretty hole here. Bit of an elevated tee. Tim got a nice shot there that hung up right on the fringe. I'm using the driving iron here. And ended up pulling that left. Got some help from a tree that knocked it down. Kept it from going further left. I'm using the mashie here just to try to punch this up into the front of the green, and I was able to do just that. This shot from the fringe, I might have been able to use my putter, but I felt like the mashie was going to help me get over some of the undulation in the fringe there, and I just didn't start that high enough. There's a better attempt from Tim, but even he didn't start that high enough. Still, short putt for him. And that was probably my best putt of the round to that point. All right, number 12 is a par 4, 322 yards. Going back to the McGregor Brassy here to see if I can straighten it out a little bit. Not terrible there, but it hit a little thin and pushed it right. So back to Loeffler. I think it's really cool that Oakmont recognizes Loeffler's contribution. Obviously, he was there a long time, so hard to ignore the contribution of somebody that's been there as long as Loeffler was. But, the phones were such huge figures in the history and development of that golf course that it's easy to overshadow other people. But in the case of Oakmont, they give Loeffler, the credit he deserves for his contributions working with William Phones. And there's a great article from the USGA website that talks about William Phones and Loeffler and Oakmont, and I've linked to that in the description. Definitely worth checking out. All right, number 13 is a par 4, 457 yards. This is the toughest hole on the course due to its length. That's a good ball. Tim starts off with a great drive there, his best of the day. And some of his swing rubbed off on me, and I got a pretty good swing on the ball as well. So we're both set up pretty well here. Using the driving iron here from the fairway. And not quite what I was after, but advanced the ball. Took advantage of the downward sloping fairway here, but the ball was a little below my feet here, and I should have adjusted for this a little bit more because I ended up pushing this right. Thought those mounds were a really interesting feature here, and I was trying to use those to just deaden the ball and pop it up on the green, but I just got an unlucky hop to the right there. I knew the pin was short-sided, so it would have been nice to just deaden that ball and trickle it up. And I did see just how much uphill that putt was. Tim benefited from that. But then, look at that. Almost missed that little short guy. All right, number 14 is a par 5, 466 yards, just a few yards longer than the par 4 we were just on. But this is an awkward tee shot. So a couple of ways you could play this hole. You could go the way that Tim did, which is up the right-hand side, way right of the fairway. Or you can do what I did here, which is duck hook your tee shot left, way more left than you need to be, but it does give you an angle on the fairway, which is across the street. That was a pretty good shot there from some thicker rough using the mashie. Tim was on the other side of where I am right now, and had pretty clear view of everything from over there. So neither one of us played the hole the way it was designed, but we're able to advance the ball in our own ways. That one was unlucky for me, though. Hit it thin off that hill and into this creek. Fortunately, I found it, but I don't have much of a stance or much of a shot here. Using the mashie niblick to just try to punch that out, and that's about as good as I think I could have done. Again, having trouble keeping that pitch runner straight. I keep pushing it to the right. I think I'm probably coming into the ball with a more open face than I should be, and just didn't figure that out as the round was going on here. That was an unfortunate flub chip there. So, yeah, a lot of little strokes added up on this hole. Nice to get out of there with the 2-putt, though. All right, number 15, par 4, 367 yards. Kind of the beginning of the home stretch here. Back to the driving iron at this point after that duck hook with the brassy. And caught that up in the air a little bit more than I wanted, and so came up short of the fairway here. But got a pretty good swing on that ball to get it up on the right side. And another opportunity to get this mashie runner to work for me. And that was pretty much what I wanted to do. I just should have dropped it way shorter of the green so that it could have rolled out. That's kind of that that topspin I was talking about on hole number 1 with the mashie. Definitely just need to shorten up where I drop those shots so that I can allow for the run-up. This green gave Tim fits. I won't show you his troubles. You get a good idea from my troubles here with it, but this was probably one of the trickier greens on the course for both of us. All right, number 16, par 4, 364 yards. It's another nice tee shot from Tim. Here I was trying my Hickory Hacker Stinger once again, and that's what happens when I do it wrong. Just totally dig behind the ball. I didn't even hit the tee there. That was a weird divot. So, only about a 30-yard shot off the tee there, using the mashie, just try to get myself back into play. Not too bad there. I got a wide open shot to the green. Got a little bit of rough to contend with. It probably limited the distance on that shot, but when you start off the hole with a tee shot like that, you really can't expect too much as far as your score is concerned. And so, yeah, this one's adding up pretty quick. I could tell from my body language here that I was feeling pretty tired by this point in the round. This often happens to me on a back 9 of any 18 holes I play because I'm only playing, like I said, once a week. And I just don't have the stamina built up quite yet for walking or keeping my energy up through a whole 18 holes when I'm walking and carrying the camera and doing all that. So not trying to make excuses, but I can just tell that my swing is deteriorating here on the back 9, mostly due to fatigue. It's something I'm hoping I'll be able to rectify next season when I play more regularly and hopefully, a few times a week. All right, number 17, par 4, 366 yards. That's better. Great way for Tim to wrap up his round with the driver.
A little off balance on that one.
Yeah, I'm going back to the McGregor Master Brassy here myself. And another thin shot off the tee. Barely got it out there. It's another good recovery, though, with the mashie. About as good as I could do from that lie. And yet another shot. So I think the highlight of this round was probably my approaches to the green from about 135 yards out with the mashie. Even though a lot of these didn't stick on the green, put me in position to chip up pretty easily. And there I took advantage of it, got myself pretty close. Now this is just a little bit farther out from the hole, which today was a good thing for me. That was my locked-in distance, I think, for putts. That was a nice highlight for me with the putter. All right, number 18, par 3, 163 yards. The goal here was to hit this mashie about 145 yards and let the slope of the fairway into the green take it up to the green, but you got to hit the fairway to do that. And I ended up pushing that right and getting caught up in the rough here. So left myself this difficult chip. There you can see the fairway slope into the green. And I was trying to stay away from that bunker, so glad I did that. But, yeah, not quite the finish I was hoping for here. There, that chip got caught up in the fringe a little too much and came up short and left me with this lengthy putt.
Wanted that so bad.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see that one drop. Tim also wanted that one back. So another short putt here. Let's see if I can close it out on a high note. Nope, but that was indicative of the round. So that'll do it here from Uniontown Country Club. Thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this round of pre-1935 Hickory golf. I wrapped up the back 9 with a 55 gross, 42 net, for a total of 112 gross, 86 net. That raises my season gross average from 102 to 105, but my net average stays at 85. That'll do it this week, folks. Tune in next week for another video. And in the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about Hickory Golf and how you can play it with regional groups across the country, check out hickorygolfers.com, where you'll learn about the Society of Hickory Golfers, of which I am a member. Thanks again, folks. Take care. We'll see you next time.